Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back to the channel where we show you that trading is as easy as you make it on yourself. We don't have any big pips to report from the last couple of weeks because, well, there haven't been a lot of big setups, at least not with this strategy. So tonight we do have a couple of great new setups, hopefully, to give to you. And again, the only concept with this 4-hour experiment is to show you when you follow a simple plan, simple management, and consistent rules to enter, you can be net profitable over time. I don't mean the Maserati on YouTube. I mean enough to grow your personal brokerage accounts, your personal Roth IRAs, your personal investments of whatever. I don't care which account you've got it in, cryptos, Forex, futures, etc., etc. You can do all of that reasonably easy without a whole bunch of hassle. So, of course, we have to say, risk disclaimer, everything we talk about on this channel and on these calls is not meant for legal, financial, or investing advice. Please do your own due diligence, paper trade if necessary, to get your feet wet and to get an idea of how this works while you save up your capital instead of losing your capital trying lots of different things. So, of course, as always, if you're not currently linked, make sure you have, guys, scan this. This is where all of our brokers are at, as well as our free community Discord. Our public one and our private one is there as well. And I don't think we have a link to it, but we've got our 6-figure US 30 copier running as well, going super, super great. One guy, for example, made almost 10% in a single day. I think it was like 9% in a single day. Actually, 2 people did that last week. Not a bad way to be. Obviously, that's high risk. Obviously, you've got to know what you're doing and know how to mitigate, but it's going very well and we're super excited about it. So for those of you guys who don't know, that US 30 copier is on Discord and on social trading tools, so no EAs. Also, it comes with an equity manager, no VPS required. It's all there. Every single thing that you need is already there. So brokers, as always, I'm using mostly Plexi and 1C. CoinX would be not a bad one for US 30, but you have to email them to get the account set up just right, etc., etc. Otherwise, without further ado, let's go take a look at where we're at in terms of our trading report from all of our classes, and then we'll go look at the trades that we have setting up. Okay, let's go to our 4-hour public experiment just so we are on the right tab, and I'll come back to that here in a second. So let me minimize this data a little bit just so you guys can get an idea. I'm big on this. I'm big on data. I'm big on track records. Honestly, one of my best and favorite parts of trading is just to be able to mark up the charts, come back to it in a few weeks, few hours, few days, etc., etc., and see, wait a minute, how did this perform? Like, were these levels significant? Did we get the reaction we were looking for? Did we get wicked out or stopped up by a spring or a liquidity grab? Like, how did this play out? This way it helps us in the future be able to manage risk better and do all the things to be more profitable. But this is where we're at a couple of weeks ago. I think we're on 84, 5, 6, 7, right? 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't laugh too much. 87 trades in total. We've got over 20,000 pips. Figure your average win to loss ratio is about a 3-to-1, give or take. Not bad. Let's see what else. I think this is super significant because remember, dollar for dollar, the pip values are different when it comes to currencies. But if you're looking at risk, it's going to kind of come out in the wash in terms of some of your fees, your spreads, your swaps, your commissions. But if you want an idea of what this equals, because we hear about it all the time. Oh, just go invest in the S&P. Just go do this, that, and another. Go high yield savings account. It's going to get you 5%. That's going to go down here shortly, so be careful for all of you guys who are capitalizing on that right now. But to give you an idea, if you take your $1,000, your $5,000, and you're only risking 1% per trade, and you're only doing this 20 minutes about twice a month, and that's it. If you fail at this by a whole bunch, you've still made an awful lot on your account, right? You've still done extremely well. You've almost 3 times your money, right? In a very small period of time. If you're going a little bit more middle range, you've made your 6 figures starting with only $5,000. That's it. Of course, you can go higher risk. You can double down on these trades. You can re-enter. You can get out early. You can do so many things. But even if you fail at this by 90%, and you still 3 times your money, you're beating every big hedge fund, investment company, the market itself across the board. You're beating it all. The things that you can accomplish with that kind of skill set it's second to none. So that's all I've got there. Without further ado, let's go take a look at the pairs we've got. I've got a lot to say about the charts, so I'll wait to start yapping until we see them. Okay, so here we are. First things first, obviously there's always a setup. I mean, I don't care what strategy you're using, the market's almost always moving, right? We had a lot of big news, we had a lot of stuff going on, just so many things economically, and worldly around the world that it was, I was going to hold off. Plus, I really want to stay true to what we started this to prove. It's not just to prove that Jenny can call a good trade on YouTube or in a class. We're doing that. We're at 1.5-ish million pips, give or take. We're doing that. We're doing great. I think this is going to be maybe potentially our biggest month that we've had to date for all the years we've been doing this in terms of our private classes. We've got that. The point of these calls or these YouTubes is to show people it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, the strategy. It matters that you can find a system that your eyes see, that you can define and duplicate and manage it in a way that's conducive to success, right? Some strategies might allow for tighter stop losses. Some might not. And that's part of that equation. Your management is key, whether you're scaling out or scaling in or taking additional entries. How you're managing the risk profile you're using, how you're protecting once you're in, the decisions you make once you're in, they're all part of this equation. So prior to this, as you saw in that spreadsheet, we've got a predefined level of rules, all that's our this setup that we have going on here. Wow, don't ask where my tongue is tied. But without further ado, we're using the golden strategy, very comparable to the things we do in our morning classes. If I click through just to give you an idea, as you see, we've been pretty far away from making any decision for quite a while. I'm going to use my fancy dancy tool. I'm just going to keep going. There's a lot of things that are heavily moved, heavily trending that aren't worth really going to go battle with, right? This one's really interesting. I love the way this looks on multiple time frames, but huge spike up. We have pulled down. I kind of want a bit of a pullback for how long we've stalled and really respected this 50, but we haven't got it. So, of course, 4 hour, we're not there. I digress. Chef is interesting, especially given the nature of the world right now. So it's a little bit one of those touchy topics, if you will. If you go to the big time frames on any of the chef pairs, you've got a huge downtrend. So if I go to the 4 hour now and try to start buying some of these chef pairs, I might be asking for, a problem. That's a big trend we're going against. So that, and then of course we've got JPY. JPY, as you guys know, probably one of the most controversial discussed currencies outside of the US dollar because of how it reacts and all the things that go on with their currency. Here's where we're sitting on the monthly, weekly. We got our impulse. We did get our retest, not a whole bunch. And now we're sitting here. I like this for either side. But if I get my crosshairs, and this is Euro JPY, but we can take whatever JPY pair you want. They're looking very, very comparable. Our pullback came not quite into range. So did we come to a significant area? Sure. There's a lot of volume here. But is that enough to give us the continuation on this drop? I can't say. So I don't love where they're sitting. If anything, I'd be looking for a bit more of a buy. So I'm out on some of these as well. And I could do this all day. This is literally what I do all day. Again, Chef, we've got some buys painting right now. I like this one. Do I like it enough to go against that? That's an ask, right? Got a nice spring. Each one of these springs have not yielded that big push up. We still have yet to get it. So is this going to be it? We've got our spring. We came down, grabbed liquidity. We came down again, failed to make a lower low. I do want the buy. So this is probably one of my favorite ones that I'm not picking today. Might be worth looking at for you guys. If we get the continuation of the breakout, come look at this for a buy. But without further ado, let's go JPY again. I'm going to sit on my hands. The few that I'm looking at. AUDCAD. Okay. Go to the daily time frame. We like this. We like how we've made our high. We've come back to a lower low. Nice engulfing candle. Even if we're pulling up, we shouldn't really be breaking this high, and if not, for sure that high, giving us a great potential risk to reward. If you want to see what that looks like, I'm going to go all the way up, past that high, even if all we're doing is coming down into here. Come on, work with me. That's our 2-to-1. Worst case, can we get our, that's not even 1-to-1. Got into here. This is going to be our couple of fractals back. Yeah, not bad. So even if all we're getting in is to here, remember our rules say we're going to protect within about 25 to 50 pips across the board. So this is one. We're going to bounce around for a second, then we're going to land on the ones we're going to choose. Next, of course, we've got AUDCHF. AUDCHF is interesting because, again, we've already talked about how spicy these chef pairs have been. That is decidedly with the trend. Now, the difference is each one of these springs have resulted in a nice move to the upside. So when we come back to the 4 hour, if all we're going to do is come down a little bit of the ways, the risk to reward on this is actually quite nice. Okay? Got 150-ish pips, 100-ish pips, 80. If you're using just structure, you've got 60, 50, 60. We've already got a 3-to-1 right here. So that's not a bad way to be. NZDJPY, I like this for the buy. Mind you, if we're coming back down to clear this gap over here, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be very, very expensive. That's, geez Louise, that's 300 pips. 300 pips. That's a lot. All the way up to the weekly. Huge move to the upside. We've come all the way down into here. I'd like to see us come into this range. So back down to the 4-hour time frame. Looking to come fill that area. That's your 400. So you're about out of 1-to-1. If we manage to break this fractal, I'm out. I'm not risking anymore. I'm not giving up anything else, period, across the board. So there's one. And of course, last but not least is GBPAUD. Beautiful. We're moving. We're going to start here. So GBPAUD is our first one. We're looking for a buy. I'm going to drop this literally where price is at. I'm going to take this on my live account, my Forex account, not futures. So we're going to go green. Solid line for active. I'm even going to go down a time frame just so I can get a little bit closer. Mind you, the price points are not going to be the same. I don't even know why I'm keeping prices on that spreadsheet anymore because they're so invalid from broker to broker, but that's okay. So looking for a buy, GBPAUD, or MACD is an agreement. We broke above the 50. We've made another high. We've retested, made a double bottom. We've respected the 50, and of course, we've got this engulfing candle. So I'm looking for this to move up, protecting within about 50 pips, and not a bad way to be. So that's one, okay? So I'm going to make that violet. Check. Okay, on the next couple ones of these, I'm going to do something a little bit differently. So we're going to put this on the candle prior to the one we're on. So right now we're in a bearish candle. I am not going to take this. Let me double check and make sure I make that green. I'm not going to take this until we break out. So mind you, we've got this nice word, ascending channel, if you will. I need us to break out of this level before I'm willing to take it, which means a close, not just a wick, okay? So I'm not taking this until we get the continuation. And if and when we get the continuation, I'm going to be looking to take this for the buy. If we fail to, then I'm out. This is going to paint and say, hey, we're selling, and I'm okay with that. But if we look at this ascending channel that we have right here, I really want to see us break above, retest, and continue to verify that. Otherwise, we don't know which way we're going to break out of this nice little level we formed. Our most recent engulfing candle is bullish, but it doesn't mean we can't spring down, drop everybody out, grab all that liquidity, cash all your stop losses before we get it. So we want to be mindful. We're going to go to make that as part of ours, but they're just pending. So pending. Remember, you can put this in your system a couple of ways. You can go ahead and set an alert at this price point or at that breakout of that fractal, depending on the broker or the setup you're using. You can also use a pending order. So the sky's the limit, but make sure you choose one that works best for you. So that's NZDJPY. And now, so we're not over leveraged because that's odd and two odds, right? We're going to pick between AUDCAD and AUDCHF. AUDCHF is trending the most. It's also the more expensive pair with a smaller pip count, right? More inexpensive, right? The value of this is a little bit less. Well, quite a bit less if you want the whole truth. But we're also forming a bullish candle right now. So we're still really respecting that. Our last one formed this spring. Of course, this is where we're sitting now, so we look like we are moving to the downside. I like Chef on the downside, although we've got a lot going on. Election world. Whole bunch going on right now. We'll go ahead and drop this here. Our most recent is telling us to sell. We are respecting this level. I'm going to keep my stop loss rather tight, but it's already predefined in terms of the rules that we already have. I'll drop this, turn it solid, turn it red, bring that in. As soon as I'm done with this YouTube, I'm going to go take these orders for myself. Maybe a slightly better or slightly worse price point. Give or take. Always give or take. Looking to sell this down. So here's our 4 hour. Looking to sell to give you an idea of what that's worth in terms of pip counts. 100 pips, easy. Protecting within 25 to 50 pips, which is really only into here. There's an existing gap here, so definitely worth taking a look at. And that is AUDCHF, so we're going to make that purple. I'm not going to keep AUDCAD marked up. I'm going to drop our line. And no sell. So I'm only going to pick one. So that's 2 odd pairs I'm going to be in. 1 JPY, 1 NZD, and 1 GBP. I can live with that. USD is not setting up in a way that I want right now. So according to this strategy, I'm keeping my hands off, at least for the moment being. So as of today, we've got 2 trades, 1 pending, and a couple of discussions. Let's see what this looks like in about 2 weeks. For those of you guys who think this is super complicated or too hard, or like it just nothing is working, I promise you, if you stop letting your stop losses beat you to death and just go to a bigger time frame, allow this to be a peaceful process, 20 minutes here and there, that's it. I want to see what's possible. So I'm excited to see what you guys have to say here in a couple of weeks. Remember, there's a lot going on in the world. There's no guarantees. Every week will be different. Some will be wins, losses, draws, etc., etc. But track this analysis for longer than just today. See, hey, look, we got our breakout. We've retested. Now you can take your first entry and a second entry. So now instead of only getting 2%, you can get 4% or 3.5%, etc., etc. So that's all I've got for you guys this evening. I'm going to go pop this shepherd's pie in the oven for my son, go drop off for Boy Scouts and all the things in between. But I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Happy almost September. Take care and God bless.